If you're ready to sew the ultimate balance of comfort and style, let's dive into these barrel leg pants, a pattern that brings equal parts function and flair. Designed with movement in mind, they're cut wide through the leg, tapered at the ankle, and finished with darted hems. There's also an elastic waistband and an optional drawstring, and yes, plenty of pockets. Today I'm sewing mine in a lightweight Rayon challis for a soft drapey feel. But before we start, take a look at my toile version, made from cotton bed sheets. It was the perfect way to test the fit and get an idea of ways that I might want to make this pattern again with color blocking. So grab your pattern, thread your machine, and let's sew these wearable, walkable, free pants together. Here is the wrong side and the bottom edge of my side front pattern piece. Along the bottom edge of the pattern, you have markings indicating the dart. From the notches at the bottom to the first set of dots for your pant size, draw a line. Then from the dot to the center dot for the dart, also draw a line on both sides. Then you can transfer your dart lines to the wrong side of your side front pant piece. Then pin your dart. I'm going to sew my dart from the bottom back stitching to secure to the point, and at the point I'll leave thread tails so I can tie them in knots. Now that this dart is created, I'm going to attach my center front piece to this side front piece, placing them right sides together and pinning along that center front seam. Sew this seam with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then finish the raw edges together. I'm going to be using a regular zigzag stitch to finish my edges. Press your finished seam allowance and your dart toward the side seam. From the front of the garment, I'm going to top stitch the seam allowance along the side that I've pressed it toward with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to baste along the bottom, basting the seam allowance and the dart in place. Here is my pocket piece, which I've added a facing to because I didn't have enough fabric for the full pocket piece. This facing will make it so that the main fabric shows from the front of the garment and you can't see the lining. So even though I've added a facing, my pocket is the same size as the regular piece. Place the slanted edge of the pocket right sides together with the slanted edge of the front pant piece. And pin in place. Sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and finish the raw edges, then press that seam allowance toward the pocket. With my seam allowance pressed toward the pocket, I've also understitched the pocket, sewing the seam allowance to the pocket with about 1/8 inch seam allowance from top to bottom. Now I'll place my pocket piece wrong sides together and pin the bottom edge. Sew the bottom of the pocket with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Turn the pocket inside out. Give the bottom of the pocket a good press, then we'll sew once again, this time with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Flip the finished pocket to the inside of the pant along the slanted edge. Pin the top and side of the pocket to the front pant piece. Baste in place. I prepared and sewed the dart along the bottom of my side back piece in the same exact way as I did for the side front piece. Now I'll place my side back and center back pieces right sides together and pin their center seam. Sew together the side back and center back pieces with a 3/8 inch seam allowance from top to bottom, finish the raw edges together and press that seam toward the side seam of the pant. Top stitch in place from top to bottom with a 1/4 inch seam allowance in the same exact way as we did for the front pant piece. Then you'll baste the seam and the dart toward the side seam. Here is the wrong side of my back pocket piece. I've gone ahead and pressed the top edge to the wrong side by the full top fold allowance of 1 1/4 inches. Then I open that back out and press the raw edge to the wrong side by 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to fold this top fold with the bottom fold in place to the right side and pin in place. Sew these short edges to sew the top fold in place with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Note that you're sewing over your 1/4 inch fold. Trim the top corners. Turn the top of the pocket to the wrong side once again and give it a good press. Edge stitch along that bottom fold on the inside from one side to the other. Fold and press the remaining side and bottom edges of the pocket to the wrong side by 3/8 inch. On the back pant pattern pieces, you have dots indicating the pocket placement. Place the top of the pocket at those dot markings and pin in place along the side and bottom edges. I'm going to sew the pocket in place along the side and bottom edges, edge stitching close to the folds. Then I'm going to top stitch once more, the second time with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which will secure the pocket but also serve as a finish for the raw edges of the pocket on the inside. Here are the bottom edges of my front and back pant pieces. And I've gone ahead and pre-pressed the creases for the hem, pressing it to the wrong side by its full hem allowance of 2 inches, then opening that back out and pressing the raw edge to the wrong side by 1/4 inch. Then we'll open those creases out, place these pieces right sides together. Pin in place along the inseam and the side seam. Sew the side seam and the inseam from top to bottom with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Finish the raw edges together, then press both seams toward the back pant piece. Now I'll fold my bottom hem to the wrong side along my pre-pressed creases. And with that bottom fold tucked under, I'll pin in place. Edge stitch along that upper inner fold all the way around to complete your hem. Complete the exact same process to create your opposite set of front and back pant legs. With one of my pant legs wrong side out and the other turned inside out, I'll place this pant leg inside the other. Now that both pant legs are right sides together, pin along the crotch curve. Sew the crotch curve with a 3/8 inch seam allowance from the top of the back to the top of the front, then finish the raw edges together. Turn the pants right side out and we'll start working on the waistband. Here is the wrong side of my front waistband piece. I've applied interfacing where my buttonholes will be sewn, and I've marked the placement of the buttonholes. Now I'll sew them in place. And I've opened up both buttonholes. Now I'll place my front and back waistband pieces right sides together and pin the side seams. Sew the side seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and press the seams open. And fold and press your waistband wrong sides together. Place the waistband right sides together with the top of the pant. Align the side seams and make sure that your buttonholes are facing the right side of the fabric. Pin in place all the way around. Sew all the way around to attach the waistband to the top of the pant with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Leave a gap in your stitches of about 1.5 inches so that we can insert the elastic into the waistband. I used my elastic guide pattern piece to cut my 1.5 inch wide elastic to size. Now I'll lace it through the casing through the hole that I left in my stitches. Then I'll overlap the short ends of the elastic by about 3/8 of an inch and zigzag to secure. Pull the elastic entirely inside the casing. Sew closed the gap in your stitches and finish the raw edges all the way around. To complete the waistband and secure the elastic on the inside, we're going to top stitch all the way around twice. Sew the first row of top stitching while stretching that elastic as you go, with a 1/2 inch seam allowance from the top finished edge. And your second row of top stitching will be a 1/2 inch above the main waistband seam, all the way around. Draw your tie through one buttonhole and out the other. And now the pants are complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future sewing tutorials, and I'll see you in the next video.